If you're not coming to watch this video to be respectful, to know that I'm a person with feelings, to know that I'm a person that's literally educating you for free, then please click off. If by chance you find yourself feeling like this video is gonna make you a little negative, it's gonna make you get in your feelings, click the hell off. If you leave a comment that's negative, I will not only delete it, but I will also report you to YouTube, where you can no longer comment on any of my videos, okay? This is not just for the black people. Child, I'm so tired of hearing what we just like, oh yeah, they're talking about the black girl, they talking about the black girl. It's not just about a black female. Personally, this is why I really cringe when I see DEI leaders who are black females. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, I also cringe when I see a white female that's leading DEI. I know that happens a lot. Like, forget it if you Democrat or Republican. What is the topic? What are we talking about? How does it affect me? How does it affect my family? How does it affect my workplace? How does it affect my employees? Affirmative action puts you in the building. DEI puts you in the necessary room of that building. Affirmative action is different from DEI. So when folks are saying, I don't want a job just based on the color of my skin, that's not what DEI is. DEI is completely different. Affirmative action gives you a job because of the color of your skin. Hey y'all, this is Tamika, the face behind Hey HR, and I eat and breathe HR. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself in case you're new here. I am a HR professional that's been working in HR for 12 and a half years, almost 13 years. I started as an HR assistant, grew my way to an HR director, and my last position was a global human resources business partner. I now help, through career coaching, other HR professionals start and grow their HR career. I just love this stuff, y'all. I mean, personally, I love the fact that I went and got my master's degree and MBA, Master's in Business Administration, as well as a Master's in Human Resources Management, as well as a Master's in Human Resources Leadership. I literally love HR. I have the highest level HR certification, which is the SHRM Senior Certified Professional Certification. And so when I give y'all this stuff right here, it's not from the BS that I might hear on TikTok, I might see on IG Reels or social media. It is literally stuff that I not only educated myself on, but have extensive experience in. And so I see all of this stuff all over the world and all over the social media streets, all about affirmative action and DEI. I don't know if you're new here. If you're new here, then you might not know. Welcome. If you are not new here, then you know good and well that I did a blog all the way back in October. I probably published it in November, but I did a blog back in October of 2024 that explained how presidential elections can affect the workplace. We see all of these different things that President Trump is now doing that is really impacting the workplace heavily. So I did several blogs on not only the DEI that's changing across major household name companies, but also on the fact of strikes and layoffs. And so I did all of those blogs to kind of gear you up to let you know that these are some of the things we can potentially be hitting now. Now, before I dive into what affirmative action is, what DEI is, what's the difference between the two, I want to start by saying, if you're not coming to watch this video to be respectful, to know that I'm a person with feelings, to know that I'm a person that's literally educating you for free, then please click off. Because on my What is DEI video, I got so many negative comments. I got so many hate comments. I completely turned the comments off. I don't want to experience that again, because my channel costs you nothing. My education that I give you costs you nothing. My degrees, my years of experience cost me a lot. And so I don't want to be disrespected in any way. If by chance you find yourself feeling like this video is going to make you a little negative, it's going to make you get in your feelings, click the hell off. If you leave a comment that's negative, I will not only delete it, but I will also report you to YouTube, where you can no longer comment on any of my videos, okay? I'm just throwing it out there because, child, I ain't feel like that. I ain't feel like that. Let's first talk about what the definition of affirmative action is. Let's talk about what the definition of DEI is. Now, since I already wrote out this video and got prepared to do this video, I realized that I probably need to tell you guys what EEO is. I have already written a blog completely explaining in more detail than this video the difference between affirmative action as well as DEI. Did a little versus blog for you. So let's get started. Affirmative action. And so I wrote some notes because I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the exact definition, that I'm hitting it exactly where it needs to be before I kind of explained it all. Affirmative action is a practice or policy of favoring individuals belonging to groups regarded as disadvantaged or subject to discrimination. So it really protects those who have a protected race, disability, gender identity, sexual orientation, ethnic origin, as well as age. I see so many people that hate affirmative action or hate the idea that DEI has now been created, when in actuality, anybody that's over 40, you're protected in several ways. So you guys may not know these protections, but whenever you're laid off, whenever you're separated from an organization and we give you documents to review, we give you more time to review those documents. We ain't trying to say you old, we give you more time so you can get assistance. If you want to go and talk to an employment law attorney, you get more time than someone that's under 40. Not only that, it also protects you on race. So many times we think that affirmative action and DEI is created for African Americans. It's not. Let's talk about when affirmative action was created. It was created under administration of President Lyndon Johnson. He served from 1963 to 1969. We got to pay attention to that time frame, y'all, because the federal government instituted an affirmative action policy under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It became effective in 1965. At that time, let's think about it, right? Let's think about it. Pause for a minute. Pause. Let's not even think about the definition so much. Let's think about the time frame. That's why we learn history in school, because history really impacts your everyday life, right? During that time, we had civil rights movements. We had Dr. Martin Luther King, everyone that is associated with him. And what was happening is that African Americans couldn't vote. We were segregated not only by schools, but restaurants, bathrooms, everything. Imagine if you can't sit into a school with someone that's white at that time, then you damn sure couldn't sit in a job with them. At that time, there really were black jobs. During the time of Martin Luther King and the whole civil rights movement, there were literally jobs that only black people could do. You could be a housekeeper, you could care for the kids, you could take care of the lawn, you can do construction. At that time, there were literally black jobs. Times have changed, y'all. That was 1965. So now between 1965 to, let's say, the 80s, times have changed, right? You got 20 years where things have changed. Now you have it where people are getting a little bit more accustomed with, schools being combined versus segregated. People are getting more accustomed to sitting in a restaurant with someone who's black while they're white. People are getting more accustomed to seeing HBCUs. People are getting more accustomed to seeing black folks that go to what they call PWIs. There's just more integration that happened during that time. But what we also notice is that, yeah, we can get the job because we're black, because we had affirmative action that came into place. Yeah, we can, mix and mingle with folks that are black or white, and regardless of wherever we are, because times have changed. Now we're in a new time. We're in a new time, child. And in this new time, we have created what we call DEI. Let me break that down for you first. D is for diversity. E is for equity. I is for inclusion. To go even more into that detail of what DEI is, I created an entire video on what is DEI. So I'm gonna put that video in the description box. You can just scroll right under here. You'll see a little carrot on the side. Click on that and it'll show you everything that I put into this video. I'm also going to put the link in where I explained in a blog what DEI was. But I also give you the definition. So the definition of DEI is a concept or practice used by organizations to recognize and value differences among people. It ensures fair opportunities for everyone. It fosters a work environment where we all feel welcomed and respected. That is not affirmative action. Now, DEI protects all who are not superior, not white. This is not just for the black people. Child, I'm so tired of hearing where we just like, oh yeah, they talking about the black girl. They talking about the black girl. It's not just about a black female. Personally, this is why I really cringe when I see DEI leaders who are black females. Now, also, I ain't gonna lie to you, I also cringe when I see a white female that's leading DEI. I know that happens a lot. And a lot of times I see a passion that I didn't know existed. No different than those that supported the Underground Railroad, no more different than those that supported the Civil Rights Movement. I listen to what they say to see if I need to change that concept, right? Because I have a hard time, personally, I have a hard time adjusting to understanding how can a white female understand what I live every day? Just from you talking to folks, you feel you can understand what I live every day. It was real pivotal because in 2020, people were doing the riots and all the stuff with Black Lives Matter movement. I'm not a fan of the riots. I'm not a fan of burning cities and all of this other stuff. I'm not even a fan of defunding police, right? But what I do understand is that there's a rage that's in us because we go into stores where things are locked away from us. Let me tell y'all one quick story and then I'm gonna dive back into this. During Black Lives Matter movement, I have an amazing friend. He's a CEO of an amazing company. In 2019, we're talking about me coming onto this organization and literally kind of doing what I do for my YouTube channel, going around the country and educating folks specifically on this topic that surrounds his company. And we were talking about me educating not only just folks, but more so the HR professionals and how this works for them. And so we've grown a great relationship over the years. I've used his services at several companies. And so he called me and he said, hey, Tamika, I got a question. And I said, what's that? He said, I'm here in Charleston. I see what's going on with the stores being rioted. I see things that aren't looking right. I see where we've locked up some black people, but I literally watch a white person do it. You know, he was telling me what he has experienced because he lived in downtown Charleston where the rioting was happening. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, but you know, I went to the yacht club and I went to talk about it. We started talking about it at the yacht club. He said, and so many people were telling me that there are stores where things are locked away. I said, yeah, tell me, what are some of the things that's locked away? He said, simple things like hair products and laundry detergent. I said, yeah. He said, do we have that in Charleston? I said, we do. I said, you do everything primarily in Mount Pleasant, and do you do everything downtown? Maybe West Ashley. I said, but if you come out to North Charleston, because I live close to North Charleston, I said, and you come out to Goose Creek, Monk's Corner, Somerville, all of these outlying areas distant from the peninsula of Charleston. I said, you go into the stores, you know, in the predominantly black areas, there are things locked away. Sometimes I need hair products, they're locked away. Sometimes I do need laundry detergent, they're locked away. Sometimes I just want like makeup, it's locked away. Sometimes I want birth control, it's locked away, you know, if it's condoms or what have you. He said, really? I said, yeah. He was like, I can never imagine my daughter living in that world. That floored me. I love this man. I respect him. He totally a white man. I respect him. But that was huge to me because we live in the same world and he's never experienced that. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is to make sure that because we live in the same world, but we have different experiences, we all understand, take the time to pay attention, listen to what someone is saying so that we can understand the world that they live in, even though it's in the same continent, right? Or it's in the same country. Because even though we're in the same country, a lot of people ain't experienced what other people have experienced. I've never experienced being able to do things like my college roommates, you know? They went to school and they literally went to school. Their parents gave them an allowance. I never experienced that. I had to work full time. When I'm done with school, I went to work. I went to school full time, I went to work full time. I had to pay all my own bills. I didn't come to school with a BMW or an Acura like my roommates did. I came to school with a Hyundai Elantra. It really, even though I was upset with my mama for sending me to a PWI, it really opened my eyes because honestly, from a minority aspect, it gave me hope that this is where life could be for generations to come. I didn't even think about my generation or me. I thought about my children and what my grandchildren could experience. How can I build a life that works for them in this way? Same thing on the opposing side. There are white folks that have lived so well, they don't even think this exists. They don't think you really got to decide between gas and food on the table. They don't think you got to decide, call a light company and ask for a payment arrangement. So I had white friends that went to the College of Charleston with me, and they were amazed by those things. You know, oh my God, Tamika, are you serious? I'm so sorry you're going through this. I got amazing graduation gifts. I'm so happy you made it through. You had a hard time. I did. And so that is what DEI is doing, is making us kind of just be respectful and listen to each other so that we can kind of take these thoughts and not necessarily marry them, but improve the world that we live in, improve the workplace that we live in, improve the environment that we live in, because we all can share experiences. It doesn't say I want to be living the life of a white person. It says, you know what, there's some things I didn't think about and maybe I can improve things in this way. It doesn't say as a white person you want to be a black person. It says, oh my goodness, maybe I need to think about these different things. So let me go through DEI as well. It covers identity and identity policies, because now times are changing even more. So many people are not only calling it just DEI, President Trump is, and so many other people are, but the educational world, academic world, the professional world has called it DEIB. Particularly SHRM has called it diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And so that belonging kind of is the area that kind of encompass more of that identity and identity policies. It includes all of the above that's included with affirmative action, but it also includes that identity piece, because we live in a time now where we have people that are transgender, people that are non-binary, people that don't want to be identified as a female or a male. So now this helps include that as well, right? That identity of a person, because that's not, if someone's non-binary, that doesn't necessarily mean their gender, that just means what they identify as. So this identity part in DEIB includes that part that's not included in affirmative action. Equity includes concepts of fair and justice, such as like fair compensation. So many times, and I'll go back to this, most companies that fit certain minimum requirements have to report to the federal government. How many minorities did they find? How many of this gender did they find? How many of this age did they find as far as applicants, right? How many people work for your organization and what are their salaries? We look at that not only for the federal government, but for benefits and so many other things. But when we report that to the federal government, we're showing the federal government that we're being inclusive. Equity includes that as well. Y'all know that before, during affirmative action time, a white male made more money than anybody. As time progressed into the DEI world, a male makes more money. We're now moving in a space where a female can make more money. Because back during affirmative action times, 1965 Civil Rights Act and all those things, you know, a white male was running a household. He was pretty much paying for not only his family, but those workers that they had, which included black people, right? We've expanded now or changed now to a time where there are not as many marriages as it used to be, so there are a lot more single moms. If you have a single mom, wouldn't you want her to still be making an equitable salary so that she can take care of her family? Because she doesn't have a male in the house. All right, so inclusion. Inclusion is creating an organizational culture that creates an experience where all employees feel the same. They feel their voices are being heard and they have a sense of belonging and integration. And so that's where the inclusion part comes in. Now, let's talk about the difference between DEI as well as affirmative action. And I'm gonna just sum it up to this before I go into a big dialogue, right? Affirmative action puts you in the building. DEI puts you in the necessary room of that building. So I might get the job with affirmative action, but because I may be a leader, an executive leader or something like that, now I'm being put at the table where decisions are being made because I'm the person that experienced whatever relates to that more often. In my case, it's human resources. So I'll give you all an example. I worked for a company. Not long after I started, they terminated the HR director. I was the HR generalist, and then we had 2 admin assistants. They had meetings where finance and HR and executive leaders met on a regular basis. My CEO came into the office and said to me, "Hey, Tamika, we normally have HR in this room. We've had a couple meetings. We don't have HR presence. We really need someone that's going to be in there. And I was wondering if you feel comfortable attending." Hell yeah, I feel comfortable, because this is showing me DEI, right? This isn't just showing me affirmative action. I already got the job. Affirmative action says, I'm going to give you the job. DEI says, I'm going to make you inclusive. I'm going to hear what you have to say. I'm going to make you feel like you belong. And so I went into the room and they were tons of conversations and a lot of conversations that were left in the parking lot that they wanted to bring up. And I was the only one that could answer those questions for them. Another time is we were looking over like workers' comp cases. We had several of them. They flew in our workers' comp broker. I couldn't understand why they did that, because all the questions that they asked her, she had to ask me. And all the resolutions that we came up with, I responded to them and I gave them perfect resolutions that work well for the company to this day. And so is affirmative action going to get you in the building? It's going to give you the job. DEI is going to make you feel like the position that you have earned, the education you have accumulated, the minimum requirements that you have met. A lot of times we meet massive more than minimum requirements. Now it's saying that all of this work you put into this can truly be seen in a room that matters. The room that makes decisions, the room that execute changes. Now we can see you there. Oh boy, this is a difficult one, and I hope everyone can consume it. I hope that this was helpful. With all of the changes that we have, that we're experiencing, this is just telling me that we need to just educate ourselves more and get away from what your political affiliation is. Like, forget it if you're Democrat or Republican. What is the topic? What are we talking about? How does it affect me? How does it affect my family? How does it affect my workplace? How does it affect my employees? Honestly, affirmative action was more focused on not only those protected classes, but mainly your skin color. What race are you? DEI is saying, you know what? I want to make sure that not only are you here, but you feel like we're listening to you. Let me tell y'all something. There have been times that I have stood up for what's right. We came up with a ladder program where we were saying, okay, you start at this, then you go to this, then you go to this, you go to this, you go to this position, right? The minimum requirements for each were pretty simple because it almost aligned with what you needed to do the job. And so we started growing people through this ladder where as you go to the next level, you're being promoted. You're getting more money, you're getting a higher title, all those things. And we literally had a small group. Our group was maybe 6 employees. My mind was blown because I was brought all of these different employee change forms for everyone in that department that was white. We only had one black girl. We had the white girls and the white boys and everyone going up this ladder. We got to the top of the ladder and the black girl was going up with them. We got to the top of the ladder where you go to another position and you start a new ladder. They did everyone except her. She was the most qualified. She went to school for it. We had people that didn't even go to school for it. Our CEO found people that he saw like in stores and was like, I think you'll be great at this job. Those people climbed that ladder and went to the next position except her. I said, what are we doing? What's wrong with her? What's going on with her? That is DEI, y'all, to include her as well. We can't look at the fact that she's a black girl. She might have a powerful demeanor. Like, find out why she got this demeanor. Get to know her. Are you okay? Do you trust us? Are we making you feel inclusive? Are we making you feel like you belong? Because that was her issue. She explained it to me. She ended up resigning and it worked out. Affirmative action is different from DEI. So when folks are saying, I don't want a job just based on the color of my skin, that's not what DEI is. DEI is completely different. Affirmative action gives you a job because of the color of your skin. So if you're new here, I hope that you were able to pick up some information from this, and I hope that you either like this video or consider subscribing. If you're returning, thank you so much for returning. I can't wait to see y'all on the next video.